Imagine a perfect plan. A plan worth billions of dollars conceived in the top strategic minds of the Kremlin. 12 steel behemoths, modern attack submarines, silently glide into Ukrainian territorial waters under the cover of darkness. Their mission is not to launch torpedoes, but to transport a weapon even more dangerous. In a lightning raid, 600 Spetsnaz soldiers, Russia's most elite naval special forces. Their target, a strategic coastal base near Odessa. The plan was clear and full of arrogance. Land in silence, neutralize all resistance, seize the objective, and disappear before the world even realized what had happened. This was not just an attack. It was a declaration of power, a demonstration of tactical and technological superiority. They believed they were ghosts, undetectable, unstoppable. But they did not know that in the shadows of dawn, these ghosts were walking straight into a meticulously prepared graveyard. Part 2. The Invisible Wall. After Ukraine's technological trap, Moscow made a classic mistake in warfare. They underestimated their opponent. Ukraine knew it could not confront Russia's massive naval power head-on, so they didn't build a wall of concrete. Instead, they created an $85 million invisible wall, a multi-layered defense network woven from advanced technology and sharp tactical wisdom, largely supported by Western allies. In the sky, PD-2 unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, like divine eyes that never sleep, constantly scan the area, transmitting high-resolution optical and infrared imagery back to the command center every 5 seconds. On the ground, a perimeter of seismic and motion sensors was concealed within a 1-kilometer radius, sensitive enough to detect every footstep. And hidden in perfectly camouflaged positions were artillery batteries, heavy machine guns, and mobile armored units ready to seal off every escape route. This was not a passive defense system. It was an intelligent mechanism of destruction, a deadly trap patiently waiting for its prey. Part 3. The trap is sprung from predator to prey. At exactly 5:40 a.m., the first Spetsnaz soldiers set foot on Ukrainian sand. They moved like phantoms, confident in their stealth. But just 92 seconds after the last soldier was ashore, and the entire formation began to move inland, the trap was sprung. A single signal flashed on the Ukrainian commander's screen. The sensor network had been triggered. Instantly, the silence was torn apart. Artillery from concealed positions rained a precise storm of steel down upon the landing force. The UAVs overhead were not just observing. They were correcting coordinates for the mortar teams, turning every shell into a fatal blow. The element of surprise had been completely reversed. The Spetsnaz forces, the proud predators, suddenly found themselves the prey in a masterfully orchestrated hunt. Their nightmare had only just begun. Part 4. Massacre Beneath the Waves. MTD. When submarines become steel coffins. While their comrades were being crushed on the shore, the Russian submarines realized the disaster unfolding. They attempted to launch supporting attacks, but it was too late. Their proximity to the coast to deploy troops had turned them from oceanic predators into vulnerable targets. The Ukrainian commander issued the order for Phase 2, seal the trap. Coastal RPK-300 Polo's anti-submarine missile batteries, guided by data from UAVs and radar, fired in unison. 10 missiles, each carrying a smart guided torpedo, streaked towards the sea. In less than 5 minutes, 5 terrifying explosions shook the deep. 5 submarines, with a total value of up to $2 billion, along with their entire crews, were turned into giant steel coffins, sinking to the bottom of the Black Sea. The Spetsnaz forces on the shore were now completely isolated. Part 5. Collapse and despair. Ukraine's silent net. Having lost contact with their fleet surrounded on land and under relentless fire, the morale of the Spetsnaz force collapsed. Ukrainian BTR-4E armored vehicles had moved swiftly, blocking their only retreat route to the sea. At this point, the Ukrainian commander deployed a cruel but effective tactic, the silent net. Instead of annihilating the entire force, they used high-power loudspeakers to broadcast surrender messages in Russian, while UAVs dropped small thermobaric grenades nearby, not powerful enough for mass casualties, but enough to create terrifying fireballs and shockwaves, reminding them they were being watched and had nowhere to hide. Over the radio waves, the desperate pleas of Russian soldiers were heard. "We're surrounded. Out of ammo. Request extraction. There's no way out." The proud raid had devolved into a desperate fight for survival. Part 6. Ampere's tragic end, the price of a mistake. By 6:18 a.m., less than an hour after the assault began, it was all over. The 600 Spetsnaz soldiers, the pride of the Russian Navy, had been neutralized. Over 180 were killed, nearly 250 were wounded, and the remaining 170 had to lay down their arms and surrender. Their weapons and equipment became spoils of war. On the Ukrainian side, losses were minimal, only 4 soldiers lightly wounded. This was not just a defeat, it was an annihilation. A multi-billion-dollar operation involving the most elite forces had ended in catastrophe. It brutally exposed the flaws in Russia's intelligence and planning while demonstrating the formidable power of a modern, intelligent, and perfectly executed defense. Part 7. The Lesson of Odessa: Will, Technology, and an Unbreakable Spirit. The Battle of Odessa was more than a military victory. It was a symbol of resilience. It proved that in the 21st century, war is no longer decided solely by the number of tanks or warships. It is decided by information, by the ability to coordinate, and by the will of a people determined to defend their freedom and sovereignty. Ukraine's invisible wall had stopped a lightning strike and turned it into a costly lesson for the aggressor. This war is not over. Every day, Ukrainian soldiers continue to fight, and their story of courage needs to be known by the world. If you believe in the struggle for freedom, please support the spread of stories like this. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done if you were the commander in this battle? Thank you for being with us.